But we have an artist with us tonight. So our docket was already full. We had 10 bands, 10 artists, let's say, because not everyone is a full band. But so I was playing drums at New Life Church in Port Orange, and I met Kassie, and I was listening to her practice, and I'm like, who is this person? Like, why are you even here? Was my first thought. I kept saying, oh, maybe she just hit some good notes, and then I continued to hear her. We were just practicing, just doing some. We did the Phil Wickham song. We did what's that?
Great Things, I think it was.
Great Things, yeah. And just like, man, this. Am I at Bethel right now? Am I at Hillsong? That's what I was thinking. And so I got to talk to her. I said, do you have anything out there? And I think you said you have 4 albums. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
4 albums. And so just like musicians do, like, well, you know, how can I find you on the platforms? Drove home listening to her stuff, and I was just so blown away, Kassie, by, first of all, the writing is, we're going to play the song in the beginning, which is a master class for those of you out there writing Christian songs. You ever heard the term, don't bore us, get to the chorus? She is just use this this framework, right? It's the blueprint. Follow this, and your song will probably be greatly improved. I'm terrible at that. I do 2 verses, and then I get to the chorus. Terrible. I'm trying to get better. So let's play a song in the beginning, the beginning, and get everyone a little taste of Kassie Tyers.
Just like a seed has to die to become a tree, the selfish parts can live inside of me, but it's not the end.
right, songwriters, did you hear how quickly she got to the chorus? Yours just sang live, you start with the chorus on this song.
Yeah, I do. And I wish I could go back and re-record it, but yeah, I decided to just keep her.
Yeah, I think it's interesting live. The way my band plays our songs live, they're kind of how we would record them. But really, just from a songwriting perspective, just getting, and that's kind of what I'm trying to share with and kind of teach people. And not that I have some music career that I'm teaching people from, but just my observation is a lot of times Christian music, in a lot of the things that I'm putting on, like the showcase and the festival, you only have 35, 40 minutes to get up there. So I tell people, bring your absolute best stuff. Bring the songs that really define you. And it's hard because we have our pets. We have I love this, I love playing it, but if you only have 35 to 40 minutes, then you really have to pick your best. Leave your blood, sweat, and tears on the stage. Don't hold anything back. That should be your set in a showcase or in a festival like this, because people don't have another chance. You only have really one chance to make a first impression.
For sure.
And people decide when they listen to music, after about 10, 15 seconds, they're like, it's okay, or I'm interested. So something, you always want them to, something that kind of draws them in as far as the art form, right?
For sure.
So you are from Canada, the 51st state.
I am,
I love
yes.
that joke, it never gets old. So tell me how you got started in Christian music and kind of what the journey was.
Yeah, so I mean, in a nutshell, my mother, she is the musical one, and she's a piano teacher, a vocal teacher, and it just kind of came natural to me. I was a flower girl at my mom's wedding, and I was just in awe of my mom and my aunt. My aunt played violin, and my mom played piano, canon and D, pocket bells.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was mesmerized by that song. I came home and I started playing it by ear, and my mom's like, yes, piano lessons for you, but reading music, it never really worked for me.
Right. So quick interjection.
Yes.
So whenever you're singing, is your mom making breathe through the diaphragm?
No, she's not. Thankfully.
Really?
Thankfully, she's super encouraging.
That's tough. It's like, you're a little flat on this note. I know. So musical parents or musical
mom. Yeah. And I went to a Christian school, and we would do once or twice a year like a musical, and I was belting out this song, and the teacher who was leading the song, she's like, Kassie, you're gonna sing a solo, and I'm like, ugh, no, I don't want to.
Right.
But she made me, and I'm glad that she did. And a few years later, I bought a bass guitar. I started playing on the youth worship team.
Bass guitar,
that was my first real instrument. I
Right.
love the bass. I love it.
Let me say something about
Yes.
that. My son, when we were in Nashville, I was really encouraging him to play on the youth team, on the youth worship team. And I grew up playing in a youth band, and it's probably one of the reasons I'm a believer, because I had a place, right?
Exactly.
So if you're out there, youth leaders, pastors, it doesn't matter if the kid is banging on trash cans and his drum fills sound like shoes in the dryer, okay? Let them play. The kids don't care. Like the youth band, I literally would pack up my drums to play for 15 minutes, set them up, and I was so excited about it all day. It was the biggest deal to me. It's a big deal to a kid.
Totally.
If you don't have a youth band and there's people that want to play, let them play. Just do it. Just do it, right? So continue.
Yeah, that sense of belonging, it kept me in the church. And I wouldn't say that I was actually a Christian at that point. And fast forward a little bit, I bought an electric guitar. I didn't even know if it worked.
You rebel.
$35 at an auction. It had no strings.
Those were extra.
It was a knockoff Fender, and I bought some strings and, started teaching myself, and then I started playing electric guitar on the youth worship band, and then slowly I started coming to the practices for Sunday morning worship team and played electric guitar, and they didn't like distortion, so it was just kind of rhythm, boring stuff, but I was learning and growing, and then this girl mentored me, and when I was 17, and that's when I really surrendered my life to Jesus.
Wow.
But I totally agree with what you're saying, and that's kind of what we're wanting to do with some of our young people at church is, get them involved and make them feel like they belong and have a purpose, because that's what God created us.
Right.
The depths of our heart.
It's so the story with my son is, he was in there playing, and just like me, looking forward to it. He's working on he's practicing, he's thinking about what he's gonna wear. I mean, it's a huge deal for him. And then one day, they brought in a ringer from the Sun News Nashville. So this guy, this really strong guitar player from like an adult, for him to come in and play. And I went and asked these pastors, like, why are you doing this? I know it's my son, I'm a little biased, but this is, like, he lives for this. He's like, well, we're trying to, you know, like, basically it was like, we want better musicians is what it came down to. Why? Who cares?
It's youth.
And for youth, they don't care. They're all there to see their friends play. And adult, like, I would never play in a youth band now. I would try to get as many,
Yeah.
If you can play 3 chords, you know, come on down. That would be my attitude. But
And mentor them up. I mean,
So
yeah.
absolutely, mentor them up. Like, I mean, teach kids how to worship. You know, it's
Exactly.
not innate. You know,
And
it's
being
things
in
that
the
you're taught.
presence of God.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
learning how to usher in that presence, right,
Exactly.
through your own, because basically when you're worshiping, right, you're almost yielding
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? You're kind of, like, when I'm leading worship, it's like, Holy Spirit, okay, well, where do you want this to go? And I'm like trying to be an antenna, or I'm just
Exactly.
listening totally, trying to find the direction. And sometimes it's not there, and sometimes it's really strong, but that is developed. That's definitely,
Totally.
that sensitivity is developed, and it has to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And also, I wouldn't worry about, now, this is a dangerous statement, I wouldn't worry too much about a kid's character, because, you know, where I used to go, they would say, oh, I would go to other churches to help, like, play drums and fill in, like I still do. And they'd be like, oh, it's not a good witness because people don't see you here. I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm playing drums in another church. I'm not out, you know, on Main Street, you know, drinking shots or whatever. I'm still in the body of Christ. I'm still serving with it. Like,
For
oh, it's
sure,
a bad
yeah.
witness, yeah. But okay, so you're in. We're in Canada.
Yeah,
Did you grow
so
up?
it's Sudbury, Ontario. Probably no one has
I
ever
couldn't
heard
be
of it.
Saskatchewan. I just want to say that.
Right?
But yeah,
Saskatchewan.
so
Yeah, it's a little
Ontario,
far
right,
away.
yeah.
But it's 4 hours north of Toronto, so the Great White North. It's very cold there.
Literally.
Freezing rain today. The
Mm.
school buses were canceled.
How much do you torment and troll your Canadian family by living in Florida?
Well, you know, not
You're
intentionally,
like,
but
hey, it's warm and it's a
Yeah.
free state.
yeah, pretty much. I'm
Awesome.
super blessed.
So at one time you were on. So there's probably a big gap here. Tell us about kind of your albums and how they came about.
Yeah, well, for sure. So, you know, grade 10 was when I kind of started feeling like, man, I really want to do more than just like play on the worship team. So we started a band, maybe it was grade 9 or grade 10, and it was a punk rock band. We kind of sucked. We played at Battle of the Bands, and there was some fun moments, but I wanted to just like improve and get better, and they were just kind of like, we're like where we're at. So I ended up buying an acoustic guitar, and I started writing my own music, and there was a guy from church who had a basement studio, so I recorded some songs, and it went on this compilation CD, and then I started dreaming like I love this. I want to do this. And God just made a way. It's
Wow.
crazy because I felt like totally the underdog, but I opened up for this one band, and the people leading it who were touring, she pulled me aside and she just said, Kassie, this is your sphere. This is your sphere of influence. This is how God wired you. You need to use this gift. And I'd encourage you to apply for our program, or there's another program. It's called Beautiful Unique Girl. I think you would fit in like a glove. So I looked them up, and I saw they were coming through in a month. So I emailed them, and I came and I watched what they did. They basically put on these events for young girls.
Right.
Really intentional, because they would have food and fellowship, and they'd have, a bunch of different things like games and speaking sessions and live music and discussion sessions. And I sat in that event and I'm like, wow, I gotta be a part of this. They're so making a difference in the lives of girls across Canada, and they went into the US as well. So I applied to be an intern, just an intern, and then God opened the door. This woman, she ended up quitting as one of the artists, and they're like, Kassie, you auditioned for Amanda Falk, who's now Amanda Cook.
Right.
They're like, why don't you audition? And I'm like, me? I'm just this little girl from Sudbury, Ontario, and nobody knows who I am. I can't compare to Amanda Falk at the time.
Right.
And I ended up recording one album with them, and then one album turned into two, and then the third one I did in Ontario mostly, and then the fourth. I mean, lots of big gaps in between, but
Sure.
touring full time for 3 years, and then,
Now, you toured,
Yeah.
you had a giant tour bus, you rode around on a motorcycle.
well, the first tour we had two 15-passenger vans and a semi-truck. We called them transport trucks.
Yeah.
So that was with Beautiful Unique Girl. And then after that, it was, 2 years of 15-passenger van and trailer. And then I toured with another artist. Her name's Linnea Salty. So we did quite a few tours, just a 15-passenger van and trailer. But yes, my dream for a really long time was that I would go on tour on a motorcycle across all of Canada, and that my band would follow me in the support vehicle. So it wasn't as big as I had hoped, because I was kind of doing like a test pilot. So
Right.
and I was still working, so I took 2 weeks off and I did the East Coast on my motorcycle. So I had my guitar, carbon fiber, the neck's removable. It goes on the back of the
Right.
bike, and my CDs and all my gear, and even some camping gear, and I did a bunch of gigs along the way. And then the following year, 2019, I did a bigger tour. I was able to get a month off, and I went to British Columbia, and it was
They need
just
Jesus over there.
they need Jesus everywhere. But yeah, let me see, yeah. And so,
So that's on the West Coast, right?
that's on the West
Yeah,
Coast,
Americans
exactly.
don't know geography. But
Yeah, that's true.
I know it from mountain biking because of Vancouver's. And
Oh my
DC,
goodness.
yeah.
Yes, it is the outdoor person's playland. It's amazing.
Well, hey, we're talking about Kassie Tyers, and that is her artist name. She is married, and Kyle is here in the studio with us. He's very patient,
Yes.
but she's going to be at the Future City Music Festival. Listen, everyone that I have coming is fantastic. I've never hoped that someone canceled, but if they do, she's going to get a bigger slot. I've gotten to know her a bunch through I sat in at New Life playing drums with her, and that's how we met, and just really kind of hit it off. And seems like her husband and I know it's a lot of the same people, and so just kind of a cool friendship is forming. But I knew I had to get her in for our Future City Music Festival that's going to be March 25th, 12 to 9 p.m. It's a free event. It's at Kenneth Parker Amphitheater. It's great parking, great access. It's really easy to get to. There's all facilities, bathrooms, and everything. No porta johns. We promise, ever. At least at Kenneth Parker. We go somewhere else. That might be. That's the worst part of any big festival is the porta johns. But no porta johns. We have actual facilities. But I want to play before we run out of time. I want to play. And I'm sorry, my brain is totally frazzled. Lead Me, right?
Lead me back, yeah.
Lead Me Back. So this is Lead Me Back.
Lead me back to you. I have faced hard times. I have felt beaten down. I have been all alone. But nothing was ever wasted. Nothing was ever wasted. All of my joy and pain has brought me here, brought me here. I wouldn't change a thing, 'cause you led me here, led me here. And I know you don't waste a thing, 'cause you brought me here, brought me here. Even if I go off track, will you lead me back to you? Lead me back to you. change a thing, 'cause you let me hear. And I know you don't waste a thing, 'cause you brought me here. And even if I go off track, will you lead me back to you? Lead me back to you. You lead me back to you. Me back to you. Lead me back to you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful song. That's Lead Me Back to Me by Kassie Tyers, my favorite Canadian. So tell me about the ministry aspect of the tours that you did and your music.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I remember this one day I was by the water. I love the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt this impression over my heart, this word hope, sing, ride. And that was kind of tying into, this motorcycle tour, and it seems so far, like such a big goal. And it's awesome that I was able to at least do the small part of this tour,
Right.
just on my motorcycle. And then COVID hit. But
COVID hit, yeah.
that's the biggest thing, is hope. And Jesus came to bring us hope, to bring us freedom. And we live in this covenant of grace. And yet, sometimes we can look at the Bible from a legalistic point of view. And, we mess up. And I've been the type of person who wouldn't need anybody to beat me up, because I beat myself up so much. And the more that I get to know God's heart, the more that I realize that if I just rest in who He is,
Yeah.
the fruit comes more naturally. And when I mess up now, I'm easier on myself. It's like,
Right.
okay, Lord, I'm sorry about that. And I actually mess up less because I know His love for me. And I know it's secure, and I know that He doesn't beat me up. And getting to know His heart, I want to share His heart with everyone. And I want them to know that, hey, if you are a backslidden Christian, because I've been there, and if your heart is far away from God, He's not there judging you. It says that He draws us to repentance through His loving kindness. And, He puts those parameters that He talks about in Scripture for our safety, not to penalize us.
Right.
And His love for us is just so amazing. And I thought I was, more disqualified in ministry, because I actually went through a divorce, and it was extremely painful, and I did make some mistakes, and he decided in the end that he didn't want to have that responsibility of being a husband, and it really wrecked my heart, because I tried my hardest. I tried for years.
Right.
But God is a God of restoration, and He takes brokenness, He takes our ashes, and He makes them beautiful. And that's so much of the theme of that album, Hope, Sing, Ride. And I wrote it during that time of being separated. And I want to share. I want to share those gems and I even wrote some of those songs not even being there yet, like that Lead Me Back to You. All of my joys and my pain.
Right.
I wouldn't change a thing, even though, sometimes you want to change it, but now that's where I'm at, and I'm just so grateful for God's restoration in my life.
So awesome. Well, hey, if you're listening to 91.5 WAPN Hollyhill, Florida, and 91.7 FM WAPB Madison, Florida. We're just gonna tie this thing up. Your latest album is Hope, Sing, Ride. You can look for it on all platforms, right?
Right.
Even Deezer, that no one in the U.S. uses. But Kassie Tyers, Tyers, and Kassie with a K, and cool picture of her with her motorcycle. This is a picture that my daughters would have wanted, maybe not with a motorcycle, for their high school pictures. They always want, is there some place with flowers? I'm like, what's Florida and it's winter? My youngest, my daughter, 17, had a photo shoot. But everyone, Kassie is going to be at the Future City Music Festival. If there's any way we can get her in for more time, we definitely will. She's super talented. You could actually headline this show, and I don't say that lightly. Since I just met her, I just want to get her in there because I think you guys are going to be blessed by her heart, her ministry. She's going to be at the Future City Music Festival, and that you can go to the futurecitymusicfestival.com website. And I haven't put your info up there yet, but I will. All the other artists are going to be there: Orr Street, Harry Love and the Hellstompers, Just a Few Frogs, Loving Kindness, Common Ground Band. That's just half of them. It's going to be an awesome day. We want you to be there. We want it to be something that blesses the community. And it's going to be an awesome day, March 25th. Put it on your calendars, and we'll see you guys then.